26,400. That's how many seconds you have in a single day. 24 hours. Time that seems to fly by in the blink of an eye, never to be recaptured. Each day, you're overcoming obstacles and conquering challenges. Sometimes you want to kick it up a notch, and you could use a little extra help. Finally, there's a solution, a way to power the untapped potential that already exists in your body and mind. Presenting ASEA's Cell Performance, 3 innovative products powered by Redox that specifically target your energy, your mind, and your mood. 3 products to help you take on your next big challenge and achieve more than ever before. Revving up your body to help you amplify every hour, minute, and second of your day. Redox Energy. Ignite sustained physical and mental energy by helping your cells reach redox balance. Redox Mind. Gives your brain a boost for sustained cognitive performance so you can think more clearly and focus more easily. Redox Mood. Helps you find peace of mind by supporting a feeling of calmness and uplifting your mood. Make your everyday moments count while you maximize every second. Get sustained energy, enhance your brain power, and lead a life of vitality and significance. The life you deserve. ASEA's Cell Performance, powered by Redox. Feel the difference.
Hello, Cosmic Explorers, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cosmic Insight. I'm your co-creator, Hillis, Pugh, along with
Rebecka, Gregory here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Cosmic Insight, where we explore beyond where we need to explore to open up to new worlds. And today we have a fabulous special guest that is joining us. And hopefully Hillis and I can contain ourselves because we're so excited about this guest. So Hillis, who is joining us today to express and just give some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful insight into the world we're opening to?
You know, I first, before I introduce this amazing person, I have to make a confession. When I first was starting on my spiritual path, his books were some of the first books that I bought in my a moment. Because there was a moment I went to Borders, and so this was a long time ago. So Borders was like a long time ago. And I went to my local Borders, and I would spend like almost $200 in books. And part of that lot was both of his books at the time, and just reading and just absorbing everything. This amazing one of the spiritual leaders of our time. So it's a great honor and privilege to have one of our spiritual leaders, Bruce Lipton, on today. International best selling author, and he is just a stem cell biologist, best-selling author of I'm So Nervous I Can't Contain Myself, of Biology of Belief and Spontaneous Evolution. And now his latest book, oh my God, I just went blank on his latest book. But you guys, this person needs no introduction because I'm going to keep flubbing it. So welcome Bruce Lipton on the show today. Bruce, my friend, spiritual companion, welcome.
Hillis, Rebecka, thank you both so much for this opportunity, because this is a wonderful time for our world to learn who we are, because we're facing some very serious issues right here, and it's all based on cosmic information, knowledge and wisdom.
Yes.
It's been kind of lacking for a long time because we bought into people's programs that are not ours, and now it's time for us to take our power back. And
yes.
So I so appreciate the opportunity you're giving me to have a conversation with you and our fabulous audience. And I emphasize the audience because the audience represents cultural creatives. These are people that are looking for answers that are not inside the box, because there are no answers inside the box. There are problems in the box. Answers are outside the box. And it's interesting. One of the futurists on this planet was Buckminster Fuller, and he said, you don't go into a situation, a civilization, and change it. You step outside of it and build a new one. And this is the opportunity that you're providing. So I really wanted to acknowledge the importance and power of your efforts to awaken people, because knowledge is power. And without that power, we've been enslaved, and it's time for us to take our power back.
Exactly. And I want to start out this morning. This came to me. It was actually a post on I am an Earth rover, here to create, here to experience, and here to manifest the love. And I just love that this morning. I came across that on your post, and on that's why we are here, and that's why we're waking up and moving into this world, and being, you're such an intricate part of that, of the discoveries you found and where you are, and where do you see the world going from that, of moving into the love?
Well, getting out of this world, which we're in right now, which is ending. People don't realize this. Science has been telling the public 15 years we are facing what is called a mass extinction. It's the sixth mass extinction. So automatically it says there were 5 previous mass extinctions. I go, what are they? Some cataclysmic event undermines the web of life, and up to 90% of life has disappeared at each of these different extinctions. The last one, 66 million years ago, was when the dinosaurs were here, and a comet hit near the Yucatan Peninsula. A giant comet upended the web of life. 75% of animals and plants disappeared on this planet after that moment, including all the dinosaurs. And then we rebuilt the planet for the last 66 million years. We've been coming back now and building up this planet. And then I'm saying, guess what? We are now facing a 6th mass extinction. But this is different. And it's important because this program is relevant to this. And I said, what is different? It's this time, it's due to human behavior, not natural causes. That we, and the way we're living on this planet, of undermining the web of life. Without recognizing the fact that we are part of that web of life. If the web of life goes down, so do humans go down with it. And somehow we got to the idea, though, we're here to dominate and control nature. And I go, ooh, boy, is that a mistake? We are nature. You can't control nature. We're a piece of nature. We have to learn to live in harmony with nature. And this is the failure of our civilization. And the consequence of that is an impending mass extinction. Is this in 1,000 years from now? I go, no, man. This extinction is in the next few decades. Now, NASA scientists have published a worldwide study, and they've come to a very important conclusion that industrial civilization, that's the version we're in right now, is facing, and I want to underscore it, an irreversible collapse, meaning civilization as we know it is collapsing. They say within the next couple of decades that this thing is falling apart and it will not come back, which then all of a sudden says, well, boy, we have to do something. Stop destroying the planet like we're doing right now. Start tending to the planet. Like the indigenous people of this planet knew that they came into a garden, and that they were gardeners. That's, like the Native Americans or the Aboriginals in Australia, or the Aboriginals in Canada or in Europe, the Druids. All these indigenous Aboriginal people were aware that this is an environment of a garden. And we have gotten into this garden and have undermined the garden, destroying the ecosystem, polluting the air, polluting the water, just changing things so much that we have precipitated a collapse. So the point is, the point that's important is to avoid the collapses. We have to change, not the planet.
Right. We have to.
It's funny you say that. I always say that all the time. We don't have to worry about the planet. She'll take care of herself.
In fact, very interesting point.
Knock us off.
It's like, at Chernobyl, after it exploded, they called it an exclusion zone because of all the high radioactivity. They said people can't go there. So the whole zone, for whatever number of years since Chernobyl, there have been no people there. But guess what? A city has been overtaken by a forest. The trees are actually growing out of the buildings, okay? There's more wildlife in Chernobyl than in any other place in the former Soviet Union. And all of a sudden I say, why? Because humans are not there.
And you spoke to a very interesting contrast of a question in my mind when you were just speaking, and when you were talking about the Aboriginals and the indigenous cultures and how they were gardeners. And so what kind of triggered in my head, almost like a guardianship, if you will.
Yes.
And so the symbolicism of this is, not just the gardeners, but the guardians of the planet. And so with this centuries of evolution that has happened, of the taking control of the land and taking control of other cultures, how have you seen this play out on a cellular level, from being the guardians and the gardeners, if you will, to more of a less than mentality?
Well, there's a whole important story here that a lot of people are not familiar with. And so we can set the premise and then it makes sense. And that is this: the science or math of geometry. What's that? I took that in school. I was with the compass and we did the squares and the cubes. And I go, geometry is the mathematics of putting structure into space. Okay. Now, the geometry that we all learned in school was called Euclidean geometry. That's the one with triangles, circles, squares, and stuff like that. And I said, with that Euclidean geometry, we recreated all the technology, the buildings we're in, the machines we operate, and all that. And I say, great geometry to use, except it doesn't reproduce nature. Nature is not Euclidean in geometry. I go, well, what does that mean? I say, nature uses another mathematics called fractals. And I go, well, what are fractals? I say, these are mathematical equations that are exciting for this because it's a very simple equation. And you solve the equation, you get an answer, and then you take the answer, feed it back into the equation, solve it again, get another answer, feed it back into the equation, and you repeat this 1,000,000 times. And then you get this geometry, the structure. And the structure is life, plants, trees, the terrain of the earth, everything in nature is fractal. And you go, oh, okay, so there's a geometry to create nature. I go, yeah, but the clue that is the most important thing about fractal geometry is the same structures appear at every level of organization in a very self-similar fashion. I say, what does that mean? I go, well, some people are familiar with the Russian wooden dolls where you open up one and there's another one inside, a smaller version of the one. And then you open that one up and there's another smaller one. And you go down to a little tiny one in there. But they're all very similar. When you look at them, they're just the sizes are different. Fractal geometry is an expression of that. Basically, it says whatever structure has occurred at the lower level, it's repeated at a similar fashion at a higher level. And you go, so what is Lipton trying to say? And I'll tell you what Lipton's saying is built into mathematics of fractal geometry is as above, so below. This is not now a new age thing. This is actually a mathematical reality. And I say, so I'll give you an example because I worked on cells. I go, yeah, but you know what's interesting? The functions of cells are the same as humans. Cells have the same functions that we have: respiration, digestion, excretion, musculoskeletal system, nervous system, reproductive system. Cells even have an immune system. So I said, then we create a human. What? Out of cells. But the human characteristics are the same characteristics as the cellular characteristics because we're made out of cells. And then I go, but we are assembling as humans into a higher level of organization where we are the cells in a bigger thing called humanity. I say, so what's the relevance? I say, if you want to understand how humanity works, you can look at a cell. Why? As above, so below. It's the same. And so as a cell biologist, my career was living with these cells. I live with those guys. I grew them in a culture. I studied them. I used an electron microscope, got down into their anatomy and studied everything about them. And guess what? The things I've learned about cells directly apply to us as humans. And when I saw that, it was like, oh my God, the rules of cells are different than the way we thought we're supposed to be living on this planet. And if we actually took on the roles of cells, then there would be harmony on this planet. We talked about this, this garden that we came into, and the indigenous people knew it was a garden. I just want to emphasize a very important fact about a garden. Simple as this: a garden is not a battleground. A garden is the height of cooperation. And you could see, because humans are not cooperating in the garden, then our lack of cooperation is causing the garden to collapse. And that's why we're facing this extinction. So nature has given us a very important insight. It says, change or die.
Yeah.
I think this is a good wake-up call, because if we don't, we're in a lot of trouble, because the end of our civilization is coming in a very short time, and we have to change. I say, how we change? I say, knowledge is power, okay? And this is a really critical, important understanding for us, because knowledge is power. And what we have to do is change the knowledge that we're in, because that knowledge is undermining us, the one we're operating from. And I said, well, this is why it's so important that you, Hillis, and Rebecka are offering the world knowledge that is necessary to get out of the problem of destroying nature and start understanding how to live in harmony with nature. And this is how we're going to do it. We're not our evolution is not change this body. It's to change the consciousness of this body.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, because it says, well, what do we have to do? I say, stop thinking the way you're thinking and start using some new thinking. And I said, where are you going to get that? And I said, well, we can watch the Hillis and Rebecka show right here. And we can.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So you're kind of saying, I'm just hearing and just listening, just feeling what kind of came to me is, we're the fractal geometry of our own cellular structure that's expanding now and opening up to a new way of being, of changing and shifting on that structure of recreating a new way of our humanity together as a whole.
Yeah, it basically says, do we have to invent this whole new thing? I say, no, it's the same pattern that was at the lower level. If you understand how 50 trillion cells, each cell is a sentient being. And I mean that by what? You're made out of 50 trillion cells. You look in the mirror, you see yourself as a single entity. I go, that's an illusion. A human, by definition, is a community of 50 trillion cells. The cells are the intelligent individuals, okay? And I go, significance about that is, if we want to understand how can 50 trillion cells live in a community and create the kind of harmony that a person in love experiences, where in their body health and happiness and joy. I said, that's a community enjoying this. How do they do that? I say, whatever principles they use, if we use that in our world, where we can say we're the cells in our world and use the same principles, then we can manifest the same thing. 8 billion people, man, there's 50 trillion cells. And the fact is, there are rules. And that's where my life came into, because I was understanding the nature. How do cells survive? How do they work? How do they live in the world? How do they communicate? And when I started to see all that, I said, oh my God, these are the same principles that we need as humans to create a community of humans that is healthy and vibrant. And that's what we need to understand.
Yes.
So what's at all the principles that it helps to maintain this multi-organism called a human? What's the most important principle that we can apply now into our everyday life to bring about this harmonious change that is so needed right now?
Well, look, the 50 trillion citizens inside your body. And I go, absolutely true. Every cell is that's where I said I could take a cell out of your body. It doesn't need your body. It'll live outside. Okay. Yeah. But it works in a community inside the body. And I go, well, how's this community organized? And I go, there's a government. I go, what's the government? I say, the mind. The mind is like a politician talking to 50 trillion cells. What are you saying? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling healthy? Are you feeling scared? Are you afraid? Where are you in your thoughts? Why? Because how the community responds is how the brain, the mind, is interpreting the world, because that's like the government saying to the cells, man, it's scary out here. We got to do a lot. We're scared. We got to protect ourselves. That's a different than if the mind said, oh, I love this place. I'm enjoying life is so beautiful and everything. I say, well, depending on which body you're in, the population is going to have a different response. When there's fear in the system, then the system breaks down. When there's love and harmony and hope in the system, that's when it's fully functioning at its best capability. And I'm going, and I say, well, look at us as cells in a world. And I say, what are we getting? And I said, the government, in this case, the outside people who are telling us about things, they're scaring us to death. I say, why? Because the news is be afraid, be afraid. And I go, well, what's the difference? And here it is. You ready? A cell or a human has two modes of life, growth or protection.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, what's different? I say, you can't do both at the same time. I say, what do you mean? I say, growth is you go to a stimulus, whether it's food or a lover, or you go to that stimulus and you take it in, assimilate it. Okay. I say, what about protection? I go, oh no, you don't go to the stimulus, you go away from the stimulus and you close yourself down in protection. So I say, well, one's open, one's closed. I say, you can't be open and closed at the same time. Open is when you're growing, closed is when you're protecting yourself. And I say, we have been under so many different kinds of threats, whether it's climate change, a plague of COVID, or lack of money, or religious or racial upheaval, and all these things going on at once that are disrupting all of this stuff. Okay. So I say, you're taking that in. What do you think that information is going to do to the community inside? It's going to cause a parallel disruption. And then I say, well, what's the significance of that? I say, well, are we in growth or are we in protection as a population? I say, growth? No, we're in protection. We're afraid of every damn thing going on. I say, well, how can you grow if you close yourself down? I say, you can't. And you know what happens? We get sick. And I go, there's a global health crisis going here. And you say, well, what's causing that? And so the genes are causing this. I go, no,
no,
less than 1%. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genes. I go, well, we're having a health crisis, and where the hell is the problem coming from? And the answer, it's how we respond to the world. And I go, oh, wait, that's us. I go, yeah, but we've been programmed. Let's just step back 1 second and recognize that all of us went to school at some point, and what kind of information we get? Oh, genes control the character of our lives. I go, we got that. I say, what do we know about them as well? I say, as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes we came with. I say, oh, okay. Then I say, and if you don't like your characteristics, you can't change the genes you came with. Oh, and then we add the last kicker, and I go, and the genes turn on and off by themselves. I go, I'm a victim. My life is a victim because my genes control me and I don't control my genes. And I see myself as a powerless victim in the world. And I said, what do you think happens when you see yourself as a victim? You look for somebody powerful and you give them your money. And when you give them money, they're going to protect you. So I say, well, who's protecting us? Well, the pharmaceutical company. I go, what a bunch of BS that is. BS is belief system. I said, what a bunch of BS that is. Why? You know, we have a drug problem they call the illegal drug problem. Yes, we got all those drugs and people are dying. 34,000 people die every year from these illegal drugs. We have a war on those drugs. And here's another story. 300,000 people die from taking prescription drugs.
Exactly.
You go, is there a war on prescription drugs? I go, no. Oh, that's just written off as that's the cost of doing medicine. I go, that's a damn expensive cost. Conform to medicine and have 10 times as many people die from the medicine than from the illegal drugs. And in fact of science published in no less than the Journal of the American Medical Association and the British Medical Journal, both published these research articles. And guess what they found?
What?
The third leading cause of death in the United States, medicine. The first cause of death, the leading cause of death is heart disease. The second leading cause of death is cancer. The third leading cause of death is called iatrogenic illness. You go, what the hell is that? It's a very nice way of not telling you the truth. Iatrogenic illness means the result, illness as a result of medical treatment. And all of a sudden it says, you don't realize that you look for medicine to save you, and medicine, even according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, is the third leading cause of death in the United States, which means maybe we got something wrong.
Yeah,
into that.
We got something right here about all this.
I mean, it's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of energy that's, being put out there. And I know that Rebecka earlier, had a question about the epigenetics. So maybe Rebecka, if you want to, ask about the epigenetics and how that's playing a role in all of this now.
Yeah, I was just asking for the listeners that might, your definition of epigenetics and how it's working in today's world and moving and transforming with everything that's changing on the world right now.
Well, absolutely. Let's just understand, what were people taught? What were you taught in school? What was I teaching medical doctors in the medical school? I was a teacher, a professor. What were we teaching? We were teaching something called at that time genetic determinism.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that? Well, it says what it is. Genes determine the character of your life. So therefore, as far as you know, you didn't pick these genes and you don't like the character. I said you can't change the genes, and then find out the genes turn on up by themselves. You are automatically locked into a belief system that your life is not under your control. You're a victim. That's the belief system you can walk away with. And I said, but the science has revealed a completely different new story. I go, what is it? It's the environment that is controlling the genes, and our perception of that environment more important than that. And I go, so significance. I say, the study that most people are operating from, genetic determinism, you're a victim of your genes. The new science, epigenetics, says no. It's the environment and your perception that controls your genetics. So if you change your environment and you change your perception, then you change your genetic characteristics. And I go, then what does that mean? I'm not a victim. In truth, I'm a master of my genetic activity.
I love that.
We go from victim to master. And I go, but people don't know that. So they're still thinking, oh, I got a cancer gene and then I got cancer. And I go, just for a little amusement, there is no gene that causes cancer. There's not even one gene that causes cancer, meaning if you have this gene, you get cancer. Not one. I go, then why we call these cancer genes? Well, they were looking at what genes are active in a cancer. But what they misunderstood was that they made the gene the cause of the cancer, when the gene is a response to an environment that is not supportive, that then creates the cancer. So the cancer is not the problem. The cancer is a symptom of a problem. A person is not in harmony with their life. That disharmony is causing a breakdown of the 50 trillion cell community, which frequently leads to cells removing themselves from the community, somewhat like we have homeless people. Who are homeless people? Well, they're out there on the street living in cardboard boxes or wherever they are and stuff like that. I said, are they independent? I said, no, they still need the stuff that we have. So they're part of our community. Are they contributing? Absolutely not. And all of a sudden I say, cancer cells are part of the community. Are they contributing? Absolutely not. They're living off of the community. Okay. And I say, well, what caused the cancer? I say, disharmony caused the cancer. And I say, this is very important for, like, women are so concerned about the breast cancer gene. That's the big one. They all go for the breast cancer gene checkup, BRCA. And people say, oh, I got the breast cancer gene. What do you think is in their mind? I'm going to get the cancer. I got the gene. And then I say, let's look at the truth. 50% of the women that carry the breast cancer gene never get the cancer. I said, what does that mean? Well, the obvious answer is this. Possession of the gene didn't cause the cancer. The gene being there, that didn't cause the cancer. The gene is activated by a system not in harmony. You want to change the cancer, you don't change the cells. You change the cause, the consciousness of this. A dear friend of mine, Anita Morjani, wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And she had 4 years of cancer. And this is not like a misdiagnosis, folks. She had 4 years of cancer. And at the end of this 4-year period, her body went offline. They had to put her on machines to keep her breathing and her respiration, heart going and all that. And she was so emaciated that the cancer lumps were sticking out of her skin around her neck where the lymph nodes are, and in the groin where the lymph nodes are. And she was on a machine, emaciated, on her last day of life, according to her oncologist, because he said when she went into a coma, he called her family and said, you better come, because when my patients go into a coma, that's really like the last days coming right now. So you better show up. She had an out-of-body experience. She met her father, who she thought she alienated from her life, which caused her a lot of, bad life experiences, that she hurt her family because she was an Indian woman who was supposed to be in a prearranged marriage. And 2 days before their marriage said, no, I'm not, and left. And that embarrassed the whole family and everybody because she, altered the perception of that family. Everybody, ooh, bad family, and she carried that, and that led to the cancer. Point. Last day of life, according to oncologists, she goes out of body, has an experience, and meets the spirit of her father, who said, no, I never stopped loving you. We've always loved you, blah, 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 no problem. And then she was given an option. Do you want to stay on this side or you want to go back? And at first she said, I want to stay on this side. Why? Because she has no cancer. She's feeling great. Her life is good. She's feeling, like not in the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But her husband, Danny, who was taking care of her, who he left his job 2 years earlier when she got cancer to a bad degree, that he was taking care of her at home. And she saw him down there holding onto her hand. And she said, if I don't go back, then Danny's going to have a problem. So I'm going back. The beautiful part about it was she woke up from this coma, and within minutes, her body functions kicked in. She didn't need the machines anymore. And then within 3 weeks, all of the cancer disappeared. And she was on the last day of her life. So it didn't mean, she had like weeks to prepare. No. On the last day of her life, she changed her mind and her consciousness, and the cancer went into immediate remission. And I say, the point was this. It was the consciousness that caused the cancer. It was a change in consciousness that caused it to go away. What about the genes and the cells? I go, well, that's where medicine has it wrong. They say, oh, the cancer is the problem. If you kill the cancer cells, we'll resolve the problem. I go, you can use radiation and poisoning, which, a little sidebar. They've had billions of dollars of research money over as many years as I can remember. Every 10 years, they have a new push. We just need a little bit more money and we'll solve the cancer problem. I say they've been doing that for billions of dollars. And guess what? They're still using the same 1930s, 1940 process of what? Chemotherapy and radiation and surgery. I go, this is, with all that research, it's still doing the same stuff. And the issue is because they keep thinking the cells are the problem. And the issue is, no. You can eliminate the cells, but if you didn't, the problem came up in the consciousness. So you can kill the cells down here, but if you don't change the consciousness up here, another cancer will form.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't caused by the genes, it was caused by consciousness.
I have a question around that. Talking about the consciousness and changing our belief systems, like at that moment, she went into that core belief of whatever she had that caused the cancer in her body. So scientifically, would vibration be able to vibrate out at a different higher level to help to dissipate a disease in somebody's body without actually physically going to finding the core belief system, but using sound or radio or vibration in order to match that to dissipate it?
I'm so excited by that question. Thank you, Rebecka.
I was waiting for that, Rebecka.
You're waiting for something to come out of me, weren't you?
But why am I excited about it is because consciousness is vibration.
Yes.
How do you read consciousness? You put wires on your head. It's called electroencephalograph, and you can read the vibrations. I go, yeah, consciousness is a vibration. Do I need the exact vibration of consciousness? No, I can cause it with another thing that does the same vibration. I can create a sound vibration. Okay. I go, so what's significance? It's the vibration that controls who we are. In fact, let me give a statement from Albert Einstein, who I think is like, well, that was the guy, man. For me, he was the guy. And I say, what's the statement? It's on quantum physics. And he uses the word field. So I want to give a little definition. What is field? In quantum physics, field is the energy we're immersed in. You're immersed in a field. I say, well, what do you mean what energy? I say, wherever you're sitting right now, there are cell phone broadcasts going through here, radio broadcasts, television broadcasts, solar energy information is going in. All of this is invisible energy. You're immersed in a field. So now I say, what's the quote from Albert Einstein? You ready?
Ready.
The field is the sole governing agency of matter. Exactly. What does that mean? Well, cancer is matter. And I go, but what caused the cancer? not the genes, that's biology that didn't get it right. Physics got it right and said the cancer was caused by a field of energy that was not supporting us, thoughts and consciousness that are out of harmony where we are. And I said, well, do I have to have the thoughts? I say, no, you can heal with the energy. If you understand it, that it's the energy that is shaping.
He's upped himself.
Yes.
The energy has, we are doing a live experiment right now.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know who's doing that, but don't do that again.
We were having a live experiment.
Yes.
And the field, we're watching the field change right in front of us.
Exactly.
That's what happens here.
Boom. And I really, really appreciate this because, as I made my confession at the top of the show about your books were the first grouping of books that I read. And everything that you are talking about is really understanding how consciousness works in a scientific way and how the spirituality is merged with that. And there's always been this battle between spirituality and science, and the two can't. And it's like, no, they have to stay separate. They have to stay separate. And so with this conversation, and with this conversation, it's really helping the audience to really understand that there's no separation in it, because that's where a lot of the fear of now society came from, is from that separation. And so with the vibratory frequency of consciousness, how do you see us moving in a new direction from in reality on this planet by tapping into the vibrational frequency of consciousness, of going up or down or left or right in the space of feelings?
Okay, well, the first thing is important to this is the basic thing that people have heard for years: knowledge is power.
Yes.
And if you lack knowledge, then by definition, you lack power. Okay. And a misperception, a belief that's wrong, is lack of knowledge, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so our misperceptions that we entertain as being true are actually disempowering. There are two of them that are very important to understand to get your power back. One of them, as we just mentioned, is the story of genetics versus epigenetics. Why? The misperception of genetics says you're a victim. Okay. If you buy that misperception, you have just disempowered yourself, as we talked about. Okay. But quantum physics also brings up another insight that says, wait, we are energy fields. And I said, but the definition of field, I love it. Here it goes: invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And I go, oh, what's the definition of spirit? Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And I go, holy geez, quantum physics has revealed to us that we are an energy spirit that is influencing us. We're a field. Each of us is receiving our own personal field. That's why no two people are the same. And I go, but what's important about it? Well, I tell you what was important about it for me was I didn't believe in spirituality. I was a science guy: genes, molecules, chromosomes, cells, blah, blah, blah. No room for spirituality. You're born out of chemistry, you die, you go back into chemistry, story solved. As quantum physics started to come into my mind and try to understand that, I realized something. I said, there are no two people that are the same. I go, how do you know that? And I go, well, if Hillis takes his cells and put it into your body, Rebecka, your body's going to say not self, and your immune system's going to eliminate them. If you put your cells, Rebecka, into my body, my immune system will say not self and eliminate those cells. So the first understanding is very clear. There's some self that is being recognized on the cells when you put them into the body. That's how the immune system knows. I say, well, then what is the immune system looking at to say who is who? I say, on the surface of our cells are receptors. Cells are like people. Where are your receptors? Eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, pain. They're on the surface of your body, the skin. Okay. Cells have receptors in their membrane, their skin, like little antennas that receive information from the field, the environment. Okay. There's a set of them that are very special receptors called self receptors. What a cool name. I said, what do you think they respond to? I said, a signal called what? Self. I say, no two people have the same set of receptors, so no two people are reading the same signal. Each of us is like a radio station receiving our own broadcast. Okay. The moment I recognized that, I said, oh my God, I can't die. Why? I'm not in here. I'm a broadcast, a field picked up by my antennas and playing through my cells. So the analogy that comes really close to making it sensible is you're watching a TV and the TV breaks. What do we say about it? TV's dead. Yep, it's not playing anymore. It's dead. It's gone. Is the broadcast still there? Oh, how do you know? Well, you get another TV, tune it to the same station and turn it on, and there you are. You're back on again. Yeah. I go, so if the body goes, we're still here. Yeah, we're the broadcast. We're not the body. And I go, the broadcast is the field picked up by my antennas, the field picked up by your antennas. I go, so where are you? You say, well, I'm in this body. I say, no. You are playing, your body is the television set. You're looking at the Bruce show playing on this TV. If this body breaks, then the Bruce show is off. There's no more TV, but the broadcast is still there. Yeah. And if another embryo shows up with the same set of self-receptors that you have, you're back, but in a different TV. And I love it because it's called reincarnation. It's a science. I go, how does it work? I say, a new embryo shows up with the same receptors you have, so it's receiving the same broadcast. Yeah. I go, yeah, but is the TV the same? Does it have to be male or female? I go, that's the TV. That's not the broadcast. Yeah. What if it's white, brown, black, red, yellow? I go, that's a TV. That's not who you are. You're the broadcast. So we have to distinguish at this time the fact that we are here as a result of a broadcast being picked up. I say, and why are we here? And this was really cool to me because I didn't believe in spirituality, but the cells revealed it to me. And it's like, oh my God, the cells are picking up a broadcast. And there's a spirit, which is the broadcast, and the body, which is the receiver of this broadcast, and I jokingly I more seriously actually asked myself, why have a body? Why not just be the spirit? And this is what I found, and I laugh about it because I call them, I had 50 trillion Jewish comedian cells. And the reason why I say that is because I asked a question, why have a spirit and a body? And the cells answered with a question. I said, why have both? And the cells, listen to this, because how funny and smart they are, right? I said, why have both? And the cells asked me a question. I asked a question, they asked me a question. Their question was, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, this is a device. This is a device. Through the receptors, I take in visual pictures. Through sound, I take in the sound. Through taste, I can taste, I can smell, I can touch, I can feel. This is a pick up by a mechanism that picks up this vibrational information and converts it into senses. And that's why the taste of chocolate. If you didn't have a body, you could say chocolate comes from a bean. I say, what does chocolate taste like? I say, I have no idea. It's a bean. I saw it on a tree. I say, to know what chocolate tastes like, you have to put it into the mechanism. The mechanism will then give a vibration to chocolate and send that back to source. So basically it says, then why are we here? And I go, you ready? To have experiences, sensory experiences. What does love feel like? If you can write an essay on love, but if you've never experienced love physiologically, that's not going to be a very complete essay. It's not going to give you what it's really about, because the love that we talk about is a sensation. Okay. And then you can give all kinds of reasons for it, but it was a sensation that our cells picked up, and we understood it from a sensation. Chocolate, love, whatever is a sensation. Okay. And so the point was, now there's two steps to this. So step one, I'm going like, oh my God, I cannot die. I'm not in here. I'm the broadcast. That was like, blew me away, because our greatest fear is mortality. Only humans know they're going to die. No other organism knows this. I say that fear causes us to look for answers.
Yes.
And then we will buy answers from those people who tell us the answers. That's called religion. I go, and who are they? I said, they're making up a lot of crap. They're making up this stuff, and they're going to tell you the rules. This religion, these are the rules, and this other, I got a different set of rules. We got all these rules. And I go, they have no better idea of what afterlife is than anybody else, but they have a marketing scheme. Yeah. And the marketing scheme is, I want to, help you with your fear. So you can come to me and give me 10% of your income. That's called tithing. And I will help you with your fear. Actually, in many cases, they put more fear into the system because there's a sin. Sin. Oh,
speaking of that, Bruce, I want to back up a little bit because now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper here just to, and because he was talking about broadcast and how we are picking up these signals and antennas, and Rebecka and I do similar things in our respective professions.
Yeah.
And so, people, and I think you framed it perfectly when you gave that example of the broadcast, because being psychic, being this medium, people often ask, well, how do you pick up this energy? How do you know? And hey, we said broadcast. I'm like, that sums it up perfectly because the energy is still present. The energy is still there. And so in other ways of stepping into this invisible field, this invisible consciousness, how do you really see it portraying out, playing out rather, to benefit humanity, to really allow us to really evolve to our highest and fullest potential, both in the invisible way and in the physical way?
Okay. Number one, everything is energy, which is very difficult because we live in a world where we distinguish matter, physical things, from invisible things. And we say matter is physical and invisible is energy. I say, and we talk about them as two separate things. But quantum physics said that's an illusion because everything is energy. And it's a trick of the light because energy by definition is invisible. I said, well, I'm made out of energy. How the hell can you see me? I said, because the lights are on. Oh, that's a funny joke. I go, no. And the reason is this: photons of light, when they hit the energy of the human body or anything that we see as physical, when those photons hit the energy of another energy source like a body, those photons can be deflected back. So I say, you're not seeing me, you're seeing a reflection of the photons from the light source that hit me and bounce back to your eye. Underneath this veneer of photons, I'm invisible. You can't see it. You know what's interesting? The scan technologies, CAT scans, MRI scans, and all that, the new medicine stuff, they look through the body. I say, our conventional idea is, oh, you could look, you can see something like, your eyes can see things. I go, these scans look right through the body. It's not light. They're not reading light. They're reading energy. I go, what's the point? And I say, every organ, every muscle, everything has its own unique energy. So when you take an energy scan, it almost looks like the physical scan. You say, oh, that's the physical thing. I go, no, it was energy that appears to be physical. Okay. So then I go to the next level and I say, but energy, you see, when we separate matter and energy, we say that energy doesn't affect us and only matter. So that's why, oh, you got something wrong with your body, it's physical, then we have to do something physical like a drug. Okay. But now we learn, no, everything is energy. And I go, energy is entangled. You can't separate energy. Everything is connected. This is the beautiful part, because sometimes many people perceive themselves as a separate piece of the universe and everything else. I go, that's an illusion. You're an energy field. Energy is entangled. There's no wall, no barrier, no skin that separates you from everything else. It's all energy. Then I go, so what does that mean? Then I say, but energy interacts, which we didn't talk about when we separated matter from energy. We said, oh, matter does not affected by energy. Now we go, wait, your energy, you're affected by energy. Then I'm going to tell you now, there are two extremes of how energy can come together. Okay. They're called interference. Energy one interfering with energy two, it's called interference. The two energies come together, and I say they don't just pass through each other, they alter each other. Energies can alter each other when they become entangled. Energy together. I'm going to give you the two extremes of entanglement, meaning there's a range of actions that can happen, but the two extremes are this: two energies come together and they're in harmony. when they come together in harmony, they add up and make greater energy. So in other words, you're an energy body. And something out there is energy that's in harmony with you. And if you're in the vicinity of that energy, when that energy in harmony with you meets your energy, it boosts your energy, and is called technically constructive interference, but functionally it's called good vibes. How do you know if something is in harmony with you? Because when you're in that energy field, it enhances your power of your energy, because the two energies entangle and they become additive, and it's called constructive or interference or good vibes. The other extreme is very important. That's where two energies that are not in harmony, when they come together, they entangle, but they can cancel each other out, so there's no energy. Now, that's called destructive interference. And it's also known in your life as bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
So good vibes mean you're in the right place, because energy is life. Anything that gives you more energy gives you more life. You're in the right place. But if you're in the wrong place and the energy prevailing, it, entangles with you but cancels your energy, you lose your life. That's bad vibes. Bad vibes are telling you your energy is being depleted by whatever is out here. And so then it says you can read the energy around you. In fact, you do it all the time without even consciously being aware of it. Reading the energy and finding out which energy enhances you versus which energies cancel you is very critical to survival on this planet. As a matter of fact, the Asians have been dealing with something called feng shui for thousands of years. I go, what is it? They attribute the energy to different things. Everything's made out of energy. So the artwork, the decor of your house, the pieces you put in there, everything is energy. And feng shui said, well, if you balance this energy, then it can enhance your vitality. So they have a mapping, a planning of how you distribute things in your world so that the energy focuses on you. And the more energy you have, the more vital you become. Simple as that. Okay. And so this is the science that's been reading the energy for a couple of thousand years. Quantum physics just been telling us about this energy for 100 years. So we're just getting to really fully understand it. But the significance is in everything you do in your life is in some way connected to the energy surrounding you. If the energy surrounding you is canceling you, destructive interference, bad vibes, it's canceling your vitality. It's canceling your life. That's what your feelings are telling you. It's like, I feel bad. I feel,
you got to get out of there.
I feel very vulnerable. Meaning what? I'm threatened. They go, oh, then the energy around you is not supporting it. What do? You go to a place where there's more energy, and then you get vitality. Okay. I always love it because when I talk to audiences, I like to give a little story of relationship here. And it used to be mainly only women. Thank goodness men are now showing up, because we need both men and women for this evolution. But when there first, they were more sensitive to the energy than the men were, for reasons, okay, not physiological programming reasons, okay. But the relevance is this: I give them a story. I say, here in California, we have a high-end department store called Nordstrom's, like Saks, okay. And I say, I give them a story. I say, you walked into Nordstrom, there's a table there with 10 pair of shoes, all on sale, all different models, but they're all available in your size, your color, whatever. And I say, you go into that store and you're at the table, and I say, you finally pick out a pair of shoes that you say, this is the one I want. Then I ask them, what was it that made that final decision on that pair of shoes? You ready? That pair of shoes made me feel good. That was constructive interference that said, these shoes and me are in harmony with each other. I want that pair of shoes. Okay. The decisions we make in life are all based on that same idea. Does the decision I make give me more energy, or does it take away energy? Is it a good vibe or a bad vibe? Why? I run my life on that compass. I'm running my life for more energy, because more energy means more life. I say it's so profoundly simple. I give an example. I say a snail is coming out of an egg. Does it know its mother and father? I say, no. Does it have a school, snail school, where I should go and what I should do? I go, nope. I say, how the hell does the snail come out of the shell, knows nobody, nothing, and then manages its life? And you ready? its dashboard's only got one gauge. The whole dashboard of this snail vehicle's got one gauge. What is it? Energy gauge. I say, what's the relevance? If it moves somewhere and the energy goes up, that means more life. But if it moves somewhere and the energy goes down, it means less life. So what does it do? It moves according to where the energy. If it's going toward less energy and it feels it, it turns around, goes and tries to find a pathway with more energy. If it comes to a food, should I eat this plant or should I eat this plant? And I go, just like shamans in our world can do, they read the energy. If this plant gives me a good vibe, that's the one I'm going to eat because it's in harmony with me. But if this plant, I feel bad vibe, then I'm not going to eat that one because that takes away my energy. And all of a sudden I say, the whole damn life was based on what? Reading the energy and always going toward higher energy because higher energy means more life. We do this as well without the awareness of this. This is really important because it says you've got to read the energy, and if you don't, you're lost. And you know, there's this when we grew up, there was a tendency to say, you know, when you meet somebody new, how are you going to respond? You know, and they say, you know, don't go by your feelings, just listen to what the person has to say. And I go, you just got screwed. Why? You can't hide the feelings, but I can make up any damn words I want to make you feel, oh, I'm the best guy in your life. Why? I just gave you a whole story about how I'm going to make your life better. But if you could feel the energy and you could feel the energy that near that guy, you all of a sudden felt the loss of energy, then the whole point was this. Should I listen to the words or should I listen to the energy? I say, the words are irrelevant. Why? You can make up any damn words you want, but the energy is real. And that's what we do unconsciously. But when it becomes more conscious, it gives you more power because you know what you're looking for. I'm going for higher energy. That means relationships, things you buy, where you live, environment, all of that is because you're in an energy field. Where are you going to end up? I say, well, if you're doing it right, you're going to end up in the place where it gives you the highest energy because that's the greatest experience of life is right there. And so we really have to start recognizing we're using energy as a compass of which way to go in this world. But if you don't have feelings, then you can't read this energy. And if you can't read the energy, then you're blind to what's going on. You know, what's very critical is this. Men and women respond very differently in this regard. Women are more sensitive to the energy than are men. I go, is that because men are different? I go, no, men can be just as sensitive as women. But in our developmental programming, men are programmed not to be sensitive. I go, why? And the answer is very clear. You can't be a soldier and be sensitive. If you're sensitive, how are you going to shoot somebody? So all of a sudden, you want to make a soldier, you take sensitivity out of them. And I remember, you know, as a young guy, they used to hit you and go, hey, did you flinch? You know, did you feel that? And you go, oh, no, I didn't feel that. And inside you're going, yes. But out you're going, I didn't feel that. And I go, what did you learn? Not to be sensitive. And then I say, then what happens? Well, you want to have a relationship with somebody, and let's say a woman in this case, and she's sensitive and you're not. How the hell is that going to work out? And the answer is not very good.
Not at all.
I love that you bring all this up because it's so true. I feel that that is where humanity is right now, that we need to step in and learn to feel and learn how to discern the vibration around us to choose the love over the fear we've been programmed inside of us to keep us stuck in a world that's not healthy for anyone.
That's the story in a nutshell, Rebecka. That is exactly it. And the point is, when do you get your power back? And I say, when you stop the damn program and start feeling the energy yourself, then you are controlling the vehicle. But if you go on program, that's autopilot. And that'll take you to wherever the hell the program is. And I can tell you right now, the programs that we experience on this planet are programs that are totally disempowering. Why? Because the leadership doesn't want powerful people. Powerful people are very difficult to control. So what do? You disempower them. You make them weak. You give them vulnerabilities. You give them fear, because fear shuts down your growth and puts you into a protection, which then says, who will protect me? And then you will find somebody, whether it's a government, a military, a pharmaceutical company, or something, that is going to give you what you feel you couldn't get yourself because you're in fear. Fear is disempowering. Fear is closing down. Fear is shutting off the intelligence and just hiding. I go, you can't live that way. It's not possible. And illness is, point was less than 1% of diseases even connected to genes is caused by the programming of limitation, the programming of being powerless, the programming of being in fear. Those are the things that once we go into those programs, we have given up our power of creativity and accepted we are victims. And that's where the world is today. And there are two things. Finally, I come around and answer Hillis's question. What is it we need here? And I say the two things we need to know. Number one is epigenetics. Why? Because you're the master of these genes. You're the one that is creating a disease, not the genes. So if you know that, then you have an opportunity to create health just as much as you can create disease. But if you believe you're a victim, you make no effort because I'm a victim. But that's not true. Epigenetics, you control your genetics, okay? Number two, we've been disconnected from the spiritual realm, saying that we're just these physical entities walking around, live, die, and gone, without recognizing, no, we are more than physical entities. We are spiritual entities in playing through a physical body. And once you understand that, then the most important thing in human biology changes, and that is the fear of death can disappear. Because if you really own it's just a transition into another state, then the fear doesn't exist anymore. And this is what the fear is, what's driving us to the end, because fear causes us to shut down and give up our power to who? Those that claim they have the power. And I guess I want to tell you, I don't trust those bastards. I don't trust the medical people. I don't trust the pharmaceutical industry. Why? They're the leading cause of death essentially on the planet. What the hell do I want to,
you know what?
Their hook. No.
Exactly. And you know what, Bruce, you hit on something very poignant just a moment ago, is that, if we have this definition of death as a moment of transition, then I can tell you I've died many times. I mean, through meditation states, through states of, by me taking plant medicine, by me altering my consciousness by being of service to my clients. And so if that's the definition of death, is moving into the space of transition, then why are we afraid of this manufactured definition of death? I mean, what is it that's holding us in this space that you've seen that we then can evolve from?
Because, okay, I have to now get down to the serious point here, and it simply comes down to this. We have a conscious mind, which is creative, and we have a subconscious mind, which is programs. Okay? That only 5% of the day are we operating from the creative wishes and desires of the conscious mind. But 95% of the day, our life is controlled by the programs. But the programs didn't come from us. We got the programs by observing other people and responding to other people. So we were downloaded with programs even before we were even aware that we were being programmed. And much of this programming has to do with how we respond to this on this planet. And this is where parents teach their kids, this is what you do and this is what you don't do. And if the parents are screwed up, then the teaching they offer the kid is screwed up. And the result is we pass this screwed up programming through a lineage. So when people say, oh, I got cancer running in my family, we used to say that was due to genes. But now we know the genes didn't cause the cancer. It was the programming of lifestyle that was off that caused the cancer. A simple insight is children adopted into a family where there's cancer running in the family. The adopted child will get the same family cancer, but then recognizes this. The adopted child has completely different genetics. It wasn't the genes, it was the programming. So our programming has taken away our power, our limitation. Are you in control of your health? Not according to the program. According to the program, the doctor is in charge of your health. Why? You're not healthy? Who do you see? You go to the doctor. Why? They have the knowledge to help me. And all of a sudden you say, I have no knowledge. The doctor has all the knowledge. So I give up power over my health by accepting the truth offered by the doctor, a prognosis. And I go, prognosis is not just a suggestion, it's creating a manifestation. If I'm told by the truth provider, the doctor, because remember, I don't have any truth about how I work my life. The doctor does. So when it comes to a question about my life, I can't answer it, but the doctor can. And then the doctor gives me a prognosis, then I accept that as truth. Why? I have no idea, but they're the professionals. So whatever they said was right. Doctor says you're going to die in 3 months. You're going to die in about 3 months. Guess what? You can die without any disease at all. You can die with the belief you're going to die of cancer, die and find out the cancer didn't kill you. No. And all of a sudden you start to say, oh my God, I bought somebody else's version of truth, made it my story, and now I live with that. I'm a victim because I can't control my health, but that one does. And that one then has power over me. And anytime where we feel we don't have power, we find someone that we have been programmed to believe has that power. And then we give up our power to that person. And I say, we're living in a world where people have given up their powers. And as a result, they have no control over their lives because they perceive themselves as victims. I don't know about my health. I don't know about how this happens or that happens. But these people told me, and I bought them because they're the ones that know. And therefore, their knowledge is more powerful than my knowledge. And therefore, I will create a reality based on their knowledge more than I would create one based on my own belief system. And I said, you've just been disempowered. And the idea was, who said the doctor knows what's going on? I go, well, listen, the answer is clear. Third leading cause of death really points out very vividly that obviously there's a lot of shortcomings in the medical community that causes us to die with their treatment. And, and you gave up your power because you said, I have no idea about my health, but that person does. And as soon as you did that, you've given up your power to that person. And we do this in other ways. And I say, so during our development, our programming has generally disempowered us and said, no, you're not smart enough. These people that are the smart ones, they know. So their words become your truth. And then you live according to their truth, not your own. You gave up power. And that's where we are today. We've given up power. And it's passed from generation to generation to generation. I was in Israel giving a lecture in Tel Aviv, and we bussed in 300 people from Palestine, from the Arab side. I've never even been in Israel. And we were at Tel Aviv at the university, and it was a big auditorium, and we had like the 300 Palestinians came in over here, and they sat separate from the 1,000 nearly Israelis over here. Separate. Why? Different belief systems and all that, right? I give them the story, the science of how we got programmed during the first 7 years of our lives. This is when the programming occurs. And I said that these programs then control 95% of our lives. And they're going, oh, yeah, okay. They're getting to the science. And then I say, and here's the problem. Actually, that's what it said on the slide, the problem. Then when I push the advance, 2 pictures come up side by side. One of them, Israeli children playing with machine guns. And the other picture, Palestinian kids dressed up in military uniforms carrying wooden guns. I said, this is the program. You're passing this program on to these kids. They hate each other and they don't even know each other. They haven't even met these other people. But you just put a program in that says, what? I don't like you and I have to kill you. I go, oh. I said, you program these kids in the first 7 years to hate people, then you're the problem. The teacher becomes the problem in this case. The kids are just following the damn program.
Exactly.
You want to change this, I then show, then the next slide said the solution. And then when I put up 2 pictures, an Arab and a Palestinian boy walking with arms around each other's shoulder, going down the street. The other one was an Arab girl and an Israeli girl hanging out together. I forgot whatever they were doing at that point. I said, if you train the children this way, there will be no more of this violence and hostility that is separating you for hundreds of years. Why? You've been passing this down from generation to generation. And the only way to stop this is to stop that damn programming. And this also applies to, look, Native Americans, Black people, people from around the world that have been put aside a separate program to be separate and less powerful, and then propagate that among themselves. Oh, being lazy and drunk. What do you think they become? Lazy and drunk. Why? That was the program that was passed down. You know, same thing with Black people. Same thing. Oh no, you're not fully there. You know, you're more slave mentality. We were slaves. You're passing this down. How many generations? You've already handicapped the kid before they're old enough because you already said we're part of the weak group. I go, that's a damn program.
Exactly.
We have to change these things. And this evolution we're facing right now says this is why the Me Too generation is showing up with its issues. This is why the Black Lives Matter is showing up with it. This is why the Green Revolution people are showing up with this. Why? We have depreciated the value to an extent that we've covered this up. Yep. Me Too generation. Yep. Women are still second-class citizens. I go, why? Because that's some program that you've been following this whole time. And we can't move into the future until we bring the problems up to the surface and say, if we want to survive, we have to solve these problems on the way to that destination. And this is why stuff that we haven't dealt with, but it's always been there, coming to the surface, because it says you cannot go into the future until you correct the perceptions, which then control the character of these people's lives. You program to be disempowered, they are disempowered. You want to move to the future, everyone needs their power back. And that stuff is coming to the surface. I go, yeah, because we've hidden it the longest time.
And it's always been around.
It's always been around.
Yeah.
But now it's to the surface. You got to deal with this. You got to deal with this now, because there is no future if we allow these things to continue, because they undermine the wholeness of the human civilization.
And I love that you bring it up, because it is a truth. And it, changing humanity and changing the world, what I'm hearing from what's coming through you is so simple, is letting go of the programs and moving into unconditional love and moving into the love of ourselves.
But the biggest problem, Rebecca, is people don't even know they've been programmed. That's the invisible part. It's invisible. I didn't know I had a program.
I like to share a story real quick that's just eating at me to share with my father, and it stems around this program, and it just feels like it needs to come out, and on his bed of when he was about to transition. And I remember my father had always asked me, help me heal. And I said, Dad, you got to let go of all this stuff you held on inside of you, all these programs, and just as I was saying, and on his bed of transition, I don't know what happened. I was just talking to him, and I saw him the moment that he actually let go of all those programs. And he opened his eyes and looked at me at a space of unconditional love, because he was free. And I never forget that look, because that's what everybody here on this planet can do if they could just open up to that space to let go of all those programs and bring that unconditional love into them. So I really felt like I needed to share that. So
well, it is important, because the whole idea is, why do we have to wait for somebody to be on the deathbed to bring up the program?
Exactly.
We could have brought this up a long time ago and resolved it. Can we resolve it? The answer is, of course we can resolve it, but first you have to pay attention to it. And you just can't flip it under the rug and say, I'm not paying attention, because it's still there.
Well, the thing is, too, what I noticed, because, working with the people that I work with, there's this period where they go through empowering themselves. Then they go into this cycle of being reintroduced to the programs or problems that got them there in the first place. It's almost this cycle of why would you reach for something you knew was not good for you, but it's also goes back to the stimuli. Like, what is it to stimulate me? What is it to really get into the core of this experience, and the human experience? And it's just fascinating to me to see people who want to clear their energy field, clear their baggage, their trauma, but yet we live in a system and society that keeps inundating us with the same, uh, uh, lack of a better term, poisons, if you will.
Well, stimuli. It's all stimuli, but
Yeah,
not positive stimuli, negative stimuli.
yeah, exactly. And so we just, and I guess what I'm getting at here is what, I guess from your perspective, from your point of view, living in both the scientific space and now the spiritual space, and merging all of that, what is the way just to really, you know, carefully, wean ourselves off of this to really step into the space of the natural order of things, the harmonious space of unconditional love?
Well, the first thing is to recognize that you've been programmed, because the programs are invisible. They play when you're not paying attention. That's why they're playing, because if the conscious mind is busy thinking, then it's not holding onto the steering wheel and driving you anymore, because when it's thinking, it lets go of the wheel. And I said, that's when subconscious programs step in and take over. But you don't see the program. And I say, why not? And I said, because where's your conscious mind? It's not looking out. It's looking in. So whatever behavior is coming out when you're thinking, you're the one that doesn't see it, but everybody else does. And they respond to your behavior. You don't even know you had that behavior. All you see is the result. It's not working the way you wanted it to work. And I go, then what would be my conclusion as a person who woke up in the morning and say, today I'm going to heal myself. Today I'm going to find a great relationship. And at the end of the day, come home and none of it happened. There's only one consequence of thinking, and that is, I'm a victim.
I'm feeling dejected.
I grew up, I wanted the success, and it's not there. Those people and that person and that institute and this and that, they prevented me from getting there. Well, that's because you had no idea you were participating. You become the victim of these other people without recognizing it was your consciousness that introduced the behavior that caused you to fit into that picture. You want to change the picture, then you have to change the behavior. And the idea is, then what's the first step in that, Hillis, is what? I am not a victim. I am a creator. I go, yeah, but what about all the crap? And I have to say, I created that too.
Yeah.
Because if you can't own that, then you can't change it. Exactly. Because you say, oh, I had nothing to do with it. And I say, well, then how are you going to fix it? You say, no, I had nothing to do with it. And I go, well, now you have no power. You just gave it away.
Yeah.
And I go, if you understood you created the good and the bad, then there's a choice moment that says, well, if I'm creating bad, why am I waiting for the outside to change when it's me that's creating that? And then all of a sudden it says, what can I do? But Hillis, this is part of your program of awakening people. What can they do? Because they don't even know they've played these bad programs. That's an invisible part that throws everything out of organization. I didn't even know I was sabotaging myself. Why? Because when that sabotaging behavior, self-sabotaging behavior I was playing was coming out of my subconscious, the reason it was coming out of my subconscious is because my conscious wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I go, then what happened? I go, well, then the subconscious ran. I didn't see the program, but I saw the result of my program. I didn't see the program. I just see the result of my program. And this becomes really critical, because it's time for us to say, I am responsible for both the good and the bad. Because if you claim I'm just responsible for the good, then you're never going to deal with the bad, because you're going to always say somebody else did that. And that's not true. We have to own this, and we have to take it in, because then we have the freedom to make a change. But if you feel you're a victim, victimization says, I have no power. And as a result of that belief, there will be no effort made to change anything, because the first thing is, if I have no power, then why the hell would I make an effort to change it?
Exactly.
Indeed. And we're just about out of time here. Oh my God, this has been like, you talk about feeling good. Yeah, exactly. So Bruce, would you like to leave us with any final thoughts for our listeners, so that way they can really sum up this experience?
Absolutely. Here we go, Hillis, Rebecka. Let me just go. You know what we started with? And Hillis said, and there's a third book. I can't remember. But let me tell you what that third book is, because that's the conclusion book. It was written in a conclusion to the other two books. They're all connected, all built on belief and behavior. And I said, what was the third book called? The Honeymoon Effect.
Yes.
I go, what's the honeymoon effect? I say, here's a story. Remember I said that the bad programming is in the subconscious and it plays when we're not paying attention because we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, you know the movie The Matrix? It's not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. I go, what do you mean documentary? I said, what's the premise of the movie? Well, we've all been programmed. I go, okay, that's true. There's no question about that. The first 7 years of our life has been programmed. And the Jesuits knew that. They said, give me the child for 7 years and I'll show you the man, because they also knew after that 7-year period, 95% of your life is coming from that program. Okay. And then I say, so, well, what did we learn in the movie The Matrix? They said, well, you can take the red pill and get out of the program. And I go, wow, what happens? How do you do that? Now I'm going to give you what that red pill can be for most people. And I will elaborate a little bit on it. And it basically says this. The most important part of the honeymoon effect is, how did I go from blah, 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 blah every day of my life, meet a person, and then 24 hours later, I'm going, oh man, life is beautiful. Everything. Oh man, this relationship, this love, the food is great. The music's great. Even a crappy job's not so bad. I love my life. I said, what happened? Blah, 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 blah. 24 hours later, heaven on earth. It was the red pill. Science has recognized when we stop thinking and stay what is called mindful, stay present, you're not defaulting to the program. Then I said, if you're not defaulting to the program, then where's your life coming from? He said, well, not 95% from the program. I'm not using the program. I said, then where's your life coming from? The conscious mind. I said, what's that one? The creative one, wishes and desires. So what do you think after blah, 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 program, you fall in love, 24 hours later, no program. Now you're creating. From where? Conscious, wishes and desires. What do you think when two people come together with their conscious minds? They're both creative. They're both having wishes and desires. What did they manifest? Heaven on earth. Yeah. It's called the honeymoon.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's really cool. But then how come it doesn't last? And I go, how did it happen? We stopped thinking. I go, then we stopped playing the negative programs that were in there. And then I say, this is a critical part. So when you fall in love with somebody, did you play the negative programs in your subconscious state? Nope. I was operating from my wishes and desires, creating that I'm the most lovable person and you're going to be real happy with me because I'm the one that's going to love you and all that, blah, blah, blah. It's really great. And then I say, but down the road, there's a point where thinking still has to come back in. I got a job. I have responsibilities. I have things to do. So all of a sudden I say, I'm having this great relationship with my partner. But now at this moment, the first time I really start getting in a deep thought, I'm thinking about stuff, and my partner comes in and asks me a loving question, blah, blah, blah. And I turn around and go, blah, blah, blah. And she looks at me and goes, who are you? Where did that come from? Well, the story of Bill here. I just played my program. Why did I play the program? Because my conscious mind was thinking and it wasn't running the show. My program was. Then I say, and she says to me, what kind of behavior is that? And I'm going, I actually have no idea what the hell she's talking about. Why? Because I didn't realize that the program was playing, but I was thinking, and I didn't see what she heard. But she heard what my dad's program was, because that's who I downloaded it. All of a sudden, the edge of that honeymoon starts to get eroded away. And the more thinking I'm doing, the more negative programs that were in there and never came up during the honeymoon. I didn't play negative ones. Why? I was playing creative ones, wishes and desires. I was creating the most lovable person for this other person to be in love with. And together, that love, 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 we ended up creating this heaven on earth until I started thinking. And because the moment I started thinking, my conscious mind let go of the control. My subconscious mind plays the programs, negative, disempowering, self-sabotaging. She sees the programs. I didn't even see them. And all of a sudden, then the juiciness of that honeymoon starts to disappear and it fades away as she and I both began to start playing programs we never played during the honeymoon. And I just wanted to add this. Does the honeymoon red pill have to be with another person? And I just want to emphasize to say, no. It has to do with something that keeps your conscious mind present because it's so enjoyable to do that you want to be there when you're doing it. I go, gardening? You can be a gardener. Love the garden. Get out there in the garden. And you're so busy with your hands in the dirt and all this kind of stuff. I say, you're not thinking, you're creating. I go, oh, well, then you're not thinking, you're not playing the program. I go, right. I say, you're a chef. What are you doing? Oh, I'm creating the most fabulous meal. I say, well, you have to pay attention to that. And I say, so if you're a chef and you're paying attention to this, creating this marvelous meal, you're not thinking. Okay. And I go, oh, so while I'm cooking, guess what? I'm in joy. I'm in happiness. When I'm gardening, I'm in happiness. When I'm doing art, I'm in happiness. Whatever you find that captivates your attention so much that you want to be there for it, that will generate the honeymoon experience.
Exactly.
Because it basically says, I'm not defaulting to the program at this moment. I'm running live time conscious creativity. Yeah. And that's when heaven on earth shows up.
Yes. Woo. Everyone breathe that in. Breathe in that experience. Breathe in those words. Breathe in that energy. I know I have been all show long. Again, thank you, Bruce, for your presence, for your wisdom this day.
Listen, Hillis, Rebecka, before you even go any further, I need to stop and say thank you. This is a partnership. We agreed to come together and talk consciousness to each other with the idea of what? For our audience. Because our audience is the one that they're here for us because they say there's got to be a better way to be on this planet than the way we've been doing it.
Yes.
And that let's go there. And so thank you for making a platform that you can offer your audiences the words and wisdom of the people that you bring onto this show. And therefore, then I want to thank you for thinking my words and wisdom were worth bringing on your show.
Thank you for co-creating the show with us. This beautiful show. And all you cosmic explorers out there, thank you for listening to the show and enjoying and take into heart what was said today and allow it to resonate in your body. And as I always say, don't limit yourself, create yourself, be the change in you. Thank you, Bruce, for joining us for another episode of Cosmic Insight. You cosmic explorers, get out there, explore. And Hillis?
Remember to tune in every week, Friday live, for your weekly Friday live tune-ups, because you never know what's going to happen live. Every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We look forward to connecting with you and keep on exploring, everyone. And until then, have an amazing, amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you.